let's call to order.
Nancy Kupka,
Present.
Cheryl Fuller,
Present.
Dan Nicholas,
Here.
Trey Pevasich,
Here.
Rick Pavanato,
Here.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler,
Present.
Zoe Boyd, and Sam Bull. Thank you.
Okay, we have a quorum. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we start with my favorite part, the student perspectives.
Yep, North High Student Perspectives, Janice.
Good evening. So I'm very pleased to have three students here with us tonight who are going to talk about how they have reimagined activities and athletics due to COVID. So first you are going to hear from Kate Gross, who is a junior, right? And she plays girls basketball. And then I'm gonna turn it over actually to Sam, who's just gonna stay there, and as you know, is a senior, and he's gonna talk about soccer. And Sam, if you wanna throw anything out about Omega, that would be good too. And then I will turn it over to Robbie Boucher, who is a sophomore, and he is working on Freaky Friday, which is our musical that we will be producing in about 2 weeks live. So it's very exciting. So Kate, turn over to you.
Hello everyone, thank you for having us here to speak. So for girls basketball, it was a really unexpected season because a lot of us didn't think we'd be able to get the opportunity to play. So when we did, it was really exciting for all of us. And when we would normally have our season, which would start typically in late October, early November, we started doing remote workouts over Zoom. We would work out, do ball handling, things like that. And we did like some trivia around Christmas and just little things to try to help us stay together during the time when we would normally be practicing. So, but it was still really hard to be apart. So when we found out that we were able to have a season in February, even if it was just for 1 month, we were all really excited. And obviously there was a lot of changes with masks and things like that, but it was a really positive experience being able to be with the team and have all levels play as well. For masks in practice, obviously it's really hard to play with a mask. It's kind of like conditioning in and of itself. So there's a couple more breaks during practice, things like that, water breaks. So in the beginning of the season or practices, we would go outside sometimes when it was warmer out, have our breaks out there. We could take off our masks and spend a little more time, which was nice. But overall, even though that was difficult to breathe, it kind of felt like we were getting stronger too in a way. So it's kind of funny and how that translated into games. During each quarter of every game, there would be a 90-second mask timeout. So that was a nice break too that we normally wouldn't get. And it also encouraged everybody to keep their mask on the whole time, which was, I felt like something that went well throughout for most teams. Our benches for games were socially distanced. So during those mask timeouts, we could all take off our masks, drink water, and we were all 6 feet apart. And another thing that was different this year is we didn't have a jump ball. So the jump ball would just go to the visiting team, which was kind of a weird thing. But it was just another measure that was implemented. And we only played in-conference games, but we were able to play the silver and the gold side. So we played every team on your side of the conference once, and then you would also get to play a few games with the other side of the conference, which was nice. And then we also didn't know if we were able to have family members in the beginning of the season to show up to our games, but we ended up able to have 2 family members per kid. So that was really nice to have a sheet that you could give to different people each time. And then also our games were live streamed on our YouTube channel. So, which is something that I hope we continue to do because it allowed some of my family that lived out of state to watch my games, which isn't something that they would normally have the chance to do. And most of the other schools also had something like a YouTube channel or a streaming service set up so they were able to watch our away games that they weren't able to attend. But I'm really proud of our team. It was a crazy season, and our coaches and our teammates and the administrators really worked hard to make it all happen. We did have 2 girls on our team test positive for COVID in the middle of our season, so we did have to quarantine for 10 days and couldn't practice or play. So that was really hard, obviously. Everybody was super disappointed. but we were able to reschedule all of the games we missed. So we ended up kind of having a crazy schedule for the last week and a half. We played 9 games in 9 days. So yeah, it was, I think, 1 practice during that whole time, and the rest of it was just games. So obviously it was really, really tough on our bodies, but it was also a time where we all came together and worked really hard, knowing that like this is our opportunity to play, whatever circumstance it is. So we toughed it out, made it through, and we tied for conference. So we're really proud of that. Haven't done that since 2014, I believe. And I'm really proud of our team and our program, and I think we're headed in a really strong direction in terms of hopefully being a state contender next year. So I'm really just grateful for the opportunity that we did have to play. Though it was weird and though nobody could stop it from feeling weird, it was still a really great experience.
Thank you.
All right. Well, for soccer, it's pretty much just a reiteration of everything Kate said. Not like normal, but certainly fun, and I'm certainly grateful to have had a season at all. So we are in the last week of our season right now. We have 2 more games left, and it's been really fun this year. The last 2 seasons or so, we've been about 500, but now we are 7-2. We, like the basketball team, have been able to play just opponents from the West Suburban Gold and Silver, which is a very strong group of teams. And aside from a few embarrassing losses, I would say that we've had pretty much a perfect season, and we've been on a little bit of a revenge tour, taking out some opponents that got the better of us in the last couple of years. So it's definitely been a great cap to my soccer career here at North, and I would really just say, like Kate said, super grateful to have had a season at all, super grateful to the people that were able to make this happen, that are constantly out there trying to keep us safe, trying to schedule everything so that it keeps everybody safe. Like she said, we have mask wearing at practices and at games, socially distanced, obviously, everything like that. So that means, of course, there's less opportunities for team building outside or off the field. But I think that the relationships built and the relationships that were already there that have been built upon in this season have really made up for it. I think that in the absence of those off-the-field activities, we've really built more camaraderie on the field. And, being our senior year, we've got so many seniors, and so many of them are so talented, and I just think that this was a great way to cap it off because, the alternative would be all that talent goes to waste and everybody feels bad because they didn't have a season. So I think the overall feeling is really just gratefulness, and, we're hoping to close the season out strong at the end of this week. We can technically win conference joint with LT if we beat Glenbard West and if OPRF somehow loses or somehow beats LT. But LT is a very, very strong team, so that's not looking too good. But still, we are better than we have been. So it's been a great season. Obviously, like Kate said, just super duper grateful to be able to play it all, and really proud of our team. So.
Hi everyone, I'm Rob Boucher. I am the student lighting designer for DGN's production of Freaky Friday, which will be opening next week actually. And I'm here to talk about how COVID impacted what we're doing on the technical side of theater. So lighting-wise, since I'm the lighting designer, I was tasked with finding out what lights go where for the show, what we're going to rent, how the lights are going to be set up, and all that. Since COVID happened, we didn't have a big lighting budget for the show because a bunch of our other shows got canceled and ticket revenue and all that. So I reached out to Justin Frick over at AV Chicago. I worked with him previously with lights and sound for Boy Scouts, actually. And his company was able to supply us with all of our lighting rental gear for absolutely zero cost. So that's like 70 lights and all the cabling and everything for zero cost. That's like almost $50,000 worth of lights for not a dime. So that was so great of him to do that. And we were just so thankful for him to do that because he would have never done that in a normal year. Sound-wise, the pit, which normally plays live in the auditorium, we had to move that pit to the band room while still playing live. So that meant that we had to get all these microphones and new cables and new sound mixing gear so that we could still hear the band live even though they weren't present in the auditorium. So that was a big challenge, finding out how we were going to do that. and just learning all those new skills because it's different mixing instruments than it is mixing people speaking and all that. Set-wise, we had to make the set more modular to allow everything to roll and have there be more space on the sides of the stage so that people could social distance and all that. And it allowed for smaller set pieces, but still accomplishing the same goal we wanted to have with the show. And yeah, set-wise, also, we were able to expand our booth more. So traditionally, our technical booth is only one platform and then seating behind. But we took out the seating and added a second platform so that we could social distance better and make sure everyone was spread out so that we were all safe and all good with that. During rehearsals, we had to wear gloves, and then we had to wear masks and everything. Everybody stayed socially distant because it's easy to stay distant because it's on the stage and everybody can spread out and do their different projects. So yeah, that's what's been happening at the DGN Theater. Any questions from any of us? Oh yeah, we also had to have half, for some songs, because like there's a certain time limit of like singing and not singing, we had to record like some singing parts and some band parts, and that had to be edited, and then like it's gonna be played while the actors are dancing, and then like lip syncing. So like it's like a hybrid of like singing and not singing. And then we also had to do other versions of that, like only having the band being pre-recorded and then having the actor singing live, and then vice versa. So that's also what happened singing-wise and all that. Any questions for any of us?
I'd just like to say, I've read a couple articles lately where they've spoken about, just given COVID's been horrible and terrible and people have missed a lot, but it's really the first time since World War II that the American population has had to become so resilient. And that, you guys have really proven that today. The resiliency of our population and of our student population. And I just want to commend you all because I think it's pretty amazing what you have done. So thank you.
I kind of like to echo those sentiments. I mean, to say that I'm impressed with you is an understatement. I think all of you have just risen to every challenge. And I think you've learned more and are better for it. I'm just so impressed. Words can't even express it.
So thank you. And two questions. What was the name of the company that supplied the lighting?
AV Chicago, so AV Chicago.
AV Chicago,
Yes.
So we'll give them a shout out.
Yes, definitely, that would be great.
And when is Freaky Friday running?
Next week, I believe, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's only going to be open to parents and like friends of the cast though, so.
Will it be live streamed as well?
Maybe. There's been talk about that, but I don't know if it's true or not. I think they're recording
They're pre-recording. Okay. So if you're not lucky enough to go,
You can watch it.
then watch it.
So there's 200 seats, and so all of the students were given 9 tickets.
Mhm.
And then if they can't use them all, then they're going to give them back, and we're going to offer to only our faculty first.
Sure.
Because, a lot of faculty
Sure.
don't really go see, and then we'll see after that what we have.
But there's an opportunity to watch if you don't make it. So great. So break a leg.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zoe and Sia?
Zoe and Sam?
Oh, okay. Hi, guys. So I'm just going to let you know about some of the things that have been going on since we've all seen each other last. Most exciting, this past weekend, we had Spring Snowball, which was open to the entire school, which was really cool. There was like a limit for how many people though, but it was open to everybody and it was free to attend. And from what I saw from their social media and what I heard from other students, it went really great. Last week was also World Language Week, which I thought was pretty interesting to follow along with. People were posting with Flat Marty, and people were cooking new dishes, listening to music, and appreciating different cultures. Also in activities, our DGS group interpretation team placed 5th in state, which was really cool. And there were also 5 students that earned all state distinctions in that group interpretation group. So quick shout out to Faith Nelson, Gwen Royal, Ryan Rosignol, Sydney Richardson, and Sammy Wiggins. And also, Key Club held a virtual 5K since we've seen each other last to benefit DuPage Pads. And then finally, South also competed in the very first and hopefully only virtual DECA competition. That was really exciting. I heard there were many students that finished in the top 10 in that competition. And a special congrats to Bobby Grogan, who placed first in Human Resource Management, and Kairidin Muradov, who placed first in the stock market game. They'll move on to the International Career Development Conference, and everyone did great. You already heard a little bit about some of the spring sports that are going on and some of the ways that they're being reimagined. Another quick highlight about some sports going on at South is our football team, which is doing pretty well. This past Friday, I believe, they won their game against Morton, and both Eli Reed and Ryan Dawson, both varsity football team members, were nominated for Athlete of the Week last week. I think Eli actually scored like 3 touchdowns in the last game. I don't know enough about football, but I think that's really impressive. Yeah, and then in the arts, with classes back in session, it's been really great. Our music groups have been able to perform together for the first time, which is so nice. I know, like personally, my choir teacher is really excited to have kids back in the building and actually hearing them. And also, the National Scholastic Art and Writing Awards in our arts program. Ashley Deanda won a silver medal with her photograph called No Direction. And then finally, DGS Drama finally finished filming their musical as well, which is going to be High School Musical Junior. They'll be producing that in the next coming weeks, and it should be released within probably a couple weeks, maybe at the beginning of May. So keep an eye out for that. And then, yeah, honestly, the last couple of things, wanted to shout out Mrs. Toth, who was recognized by the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards as a National Board Certified Teacher. I think that's a really high honor, and it's really exciting for her. And then, yeah, honestly, everybody seems really excited to be back in school after spring break. What I've been hearing from students that are in person is that they're just really, like, so thrilled to be, like, with each other. And then what I've also heard from remote students is that they appreciate the scheduling. It was a little rocky, as any schedule change would be in the beginning, but it's getting easier now. And the biggest thing I've heard other than that from remote students is just remind teachers that we're still here and that just keep on doing what you're doing, and we really appreciate and understand how exciting it is for everybody to be together and in person, and that, you know, we'll keep getting better at being good students and finding new ways to teach. And then, yeah, that's about it. Also, just wanted to say shout out to Sherelle and Terry for their election this past spring break.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
All right. On the DGN side of things, as Robbie said, obviously we've got Freaky Friday coming out, and that's been really cool from what I've been able to see. It seems like everybody's been putting in a lot of great work in that, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. Also, in the fine arts world, our marching band and color guard were able to perform at last Friday's football game. And the team lost to OPRF, but it was still a great experience in the fine arts perspective and in the student perspective, because they allowed, I think it was about 100 students to be able to go to the game, mainly seniors, but then they opened it up to a few juniors as well. And from personal experience, I can tell you it was one of the most fun nights I've had in the last year or so. And I think that's just a token of, you know, how the administration and you guys, the board, are just, you know, trying to walk that line of keeping people safe, but then also creating more opportunities for students to socialize and be happy. And I think that was a great success last Friday. So In other sports news, as I said, boys soccer is just finishing up, as are some of the other spring sports. Girls volleyball is doing extremely well. And then we've got some summer sports starting. Track and field got their first meet on Saturday. Baseball has begun to practice. Girls soccer had tryouts. Lacrosse, softball, tennis, volleyball, wrestling, they're all starting. So it's really, really great to see people at North. Every time I walk up to soccer practice, the campus is always buzzing, and it really reminds me of pre-COVID times, and it gives me hope for the future. And it's just so great to see people and talk to people and socialize. So school is great, but then also the extracurriculars being back, I think, adds another dimension and another, another layer of confidence for students and for teachers and for administrators about getting back to normal. In terms of clubs and extracurriculars, the Omega, just want to give a personal shout out, the Omega newspaper and Cauldron yearbook just competed in sectionals this weekend. So it's sectionals just like any sport would be. We just came in on a Saturday and did it virtually, and everybody competed in a certain writing or design event. And it was really fun. We'll hear back about those results this week. And whoever places in the top 3 in their category will move on to the Journalism and Yearbook State competition on the 24th. So that should be great. And the Omega also plans to have a print issue, including a special senior issue like we normally do every year, which will be distributed near the last day of school / maybe at prom for seniors. So this will be the first print issue since February 2020. So I think that's another token and another sign of just things getting back to normal, and things are really looking up, I think, in a lot of different ways. And that brings me to just the general mindset. I think students seem to love being back in general. I think the schedule is much better in terms of seeing other people, especially the people that were in the opposing side of the alphabet that you really couldn't see at all in the old schedules. So it almost feels like you're seeing a whole other set of students, like double the amount of people and more. And I've heard a lot of people say it's just like normal school, but with masks. So I think that we're really approaching that sense of normalcy, and I think that this is really, really good for people's social, emotional well-being and just being able to see people. I think I've been the happiest I've ever been in a while, just in the last 2 weeks, just because I've been able to see so many friends that, I hadn't seen in a year or so. And I think seniors just really seem to be excited about prom and graduation and everything that's coming up. So, I think everything's just going really, really well in general, and I think everybody's happy to be back.
Thank you.
Quick question. So how's the snack thing working out?
I think it's very beneficial because I think that it does well to split up a very long period, and it also brings in the food that I feel like people would go crazy without, because the lunch break or not having lunch is kind of terrible, at least for me, in terms of like my normal eating schedule, but that snack definitely brings that burden down. So I think that in terms of like health-wise, like actually eating, it's great, and then also in terms of getting a break from a super long class period, it's great as well. So
Okay.
I think that it might be a little inconvenient because I know, at least for me, during that period, it's kind of staggered. So students in the hallway all go out at different times. So a lot of the period is noisy while my class is being taught, because there's always students coming in and out at different intervals. But that's really the only negative I can think of. I mean, I think everything else is great. It's a nice break during the class, and it's a good opportunity to eat food. And also a good opportunity to socialize. Like we were able to go outside, at least for my class that I have a snack break during, and talk to people distanced and just, get some fresh air. So I think it's good.
Okay.
I just wanted to remind teachers not to forget snack break. I've been hearing a lot about that. I know they have like a million things on their mind during
Right.
classes trying to figure it out, but don't forget, we're hungry.
That's what I was wanting to hear.
Great, thank you. So duly noted. Okay, moving on to the school school year update?
Before we get into the superintendent's report, we have a recognition here for President Kupka. So this says, "Dear members," this is to the board. "Enclosed, please find a certificate of appreciation to your board member for serving on the IASB Executive Committee for the 2019 through 2021 term. Please recognize the time and effort your board member devotes to serving the entire IASB division at your next scheduled board meeting now. This certificate recognizes their dedicated service to others, leadership, and striving to achieve the association's mission of building excellence in local school governance. With gratitude and thanks to E. Molinari, who is the Director of Field Services for IASB, the DuPage Division." So you get a nice little letter and then a little certificate of appreciation. So thank you for your service.
Unexpected honor. Thank you.
All right. So just a few quick things today. The first one is I don't need to do a report. Sam and Zoe did it for me, so thank you. We do have 71% of students across the district returning in person. That number's higher at North than at South. Students, though, are continuing to switch models, and as students are finding out that it's a good experience, I expect we'll continue to see over the course of the next few weeks. We still want to encourage as many students to come back as possible. If you're still thinking about it as a student or a parent, send them back. We're glad to have them here. As you can hear, it's a good experience for our kids. The first week was pretty successful. We had some slight logistical things, snacks, buses, it's all brand new, but nothing that we couldn't work through. And we made some tweaks for this week. This week's a little different too, with SAT tomorrow and an alternative schedule today. And the board has seen, the public has seen, I'll go into it in a little bit, about contact tracing and close contacts is the kind of the next iteration or challenge that comes along with having more students back in person, both for instruction and activities and athletics, as you've heard tonight. Moving forward, the administrative team, we are all planning. Every time we have a question that comes up about what are we doing next year, we are planning as if we are back pre-COVID with whatever restrictions are placed on us, whether that be masks or distancing or whatever's there. But every time a question comes up about what will this be next year, we go back to what was it like before COVID was here. That's what we're driving and planning towards. Obviously, there's going to be a myriad of issues that we need to work through, but the baseline is get back as close to normal as possible for the next school year. One of those key things right now is calculating lunch space, making sure that if we need to be socially or physically distanced during lunch, that we have enough space for that. All of the new common space coming online is going to be hugely important for that. But we're also looking at additional outdoor seating if we need some. I'm serving on the ISB planning group for fall return. We've had several meetings on what that would be. There's a meeting for just superintendents on Thursday that I got information on, so I'll be participating in that. And then we're investigating possibilities for student vaccination clinics. That's still very undetermined at this point. We understand Pfizer is available for 16 or older starting, I think, this week. But we expect that the emergency authorization for 12 and older to be coming soon. I'm in discussions with CodoCare, who is our provider that did it for our staff, to see if we could set up clinics for our students. But we're still in that same cycle of acquiring vaccines is a challenge. So if we're able to create that and create possibilities for students that wish to be vaccinated, for parents that wish to get their students vaccinated to come in and do that, we're going to continue working on that for the rest of the school year and over the summer until that's a possibility. And just an update on staff, we're at 90% of our staff are fully vaccinated, 5% are in progress, and then we continue to have about 5% that due to medical concerns have not yet been vaccinated. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So questions on any of that before I get into close contact stuff and contact tracing?
Just, and you may not know the answer to this, but just out of curiosity, for student vaccination clinics, would we need to have the parent come in?
I have no idea at this point yet. Yeah, I'm sure, like anything, there would have to be an authorization of some sort. Yeah, there'd have to be consent of some sort, but still working through how that would look. All right, and then contact tracing. This is a document that's up on our website under the metrics on the 2021 update page. And the way that this document works is that every Friday we update it, or every Monday morning we update it with everything we knew as of Friday for the week before. But over usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're still tracking down incidents from the week before. So by the end of this week, we'll have an absolute number for the week of April 5th for last week. So this is kind of where we stood midday today. You can see, naturally, the number of close contacts has grown greatly this past week. We have far more students back. We have far more students involved in activities and athletics, and in far more students riding buses. And in classrooms, we have some classrooms where physical distancing is less than 6 feet allowed by the new guidance. So a combination of all of that has driven up the number of close contacts that we've tracked down at school. So what a close contact is, as we look at this, and this went out in today's email. This is the information that went out in today's email. Everybody received that. But if you're within 6 feet of somebody who is tested positive for COVID for 15 or more minutes, you're a close contact. And that might be less than 15 minutes if you're in a high-risk sport or activity. That process is all done and outlined from Illinois Department of Public Health. DuPage County Health Department ultimately has the oversight over contact tracing and quarantining. And in that, DuPage County Health Department has told us someone is deemed to be a close contact, they are quarantining for 14 days. I know there's a variety of options out there for people in different settings, under different circumstances with testing. We have been told by the DuPage County Health Department, once you're a close contact, you're quarantining for 14 days. There is not a 7 or 10-day option in DuPage County for schools. So we have no recourse to operate differently. That's how we must operate. So students they're close contacts are quarantined for 14 days. They can return back to school and their activities after that. While they're on quarantine, they can't participate in any in-person activities, whether that be instruction or activities or athletics or any of those things that are going on. There's different things for people that are vaccinated or have recently had COVID. We work through each of those with the health office and the health department. But while students are in quarantine and they're not participating in in-person activities or instruction, we're still doing concurrent instruction with those students, just along with all of the students that have chosen fully remote. So they're still with their teacher in the remote version of their classroom with their classmates. So that's the information that we sent out to everybody today. I think it's just, it's changing guidelines, it's a new schedule, it's more people back, and it's, conflicting guidance depending on where you look, what you see, maybe somebody at work in their workplace had different guidance than what a student has with us. As it's gone all year, it's a difficult matrix to work through. And we appreciate everybody just cooperating and working through it and being patient with the process. So that's kind of what's going on with back to school. So any questions? All right. This next one will, this is not an action item tonight. This is an action item on the 19th. Sorry, that's wrong on the slide. So next Monday, we'll bring this for action, but this is a recommendation from the administration that we waive all summer school tuition fees for this summer except for driver's education. We'll offset those costs through a combination of grant funding this year, and we just feel like this is the right thing to do for students that are trying to recover credit, just based on the response to the pandemic. So this will come next week, Any just preliminary questions from board members on this?
To be clear, all in districts.
All in-district students. Out-of-district tuition would remain, yes.
Yeah. Thank you, this is good.
This is really a great idea.
I agree.
Yeah, Gina's done a lot of work on grants and funding and has pulled a lot of resources together here, so. All right, this will come back next week. The next agenda item is just a recognition of our staff members that are achieving tenure. A reminder, tenure is granted by the state in one of three ways. One is the traditional pathway after 4 years of being a teacher on our staff with proficient or excellent ratings, and you come back year after year. Then in your 5th year, you're granted tenure by the state. The next option would be accelerated tenure, which would be in your 4th year after 3 years of excellent ratings would move in to that. And the other way is in 2 years, where if you were proficient or excellent in another school district, came here and then were excellent here, after 2 years, you would move into that tenure track by the state. So in your 3rd year. So this is the list of all of our wonderful teachers that have made it through one of those pathways to achieve tenure and get that granted by the state. The memo for the board outlines each pathway for each one of our teachers as requested by the board. So any questions on that? All right. The next one is something we started working on as a board when we had our self-evaluation, I think in December. And this kind of fell by the wayside as we were working on a variety of responding and returning to school plans. But one of the goals of this board was before this board's term ended, and that's coming soon, that we would agree to, or the board would agree to, a set of the protocols. So this was started in December. I then went through and made sure that it truly reflected everything that we had talked about. Julie went through, thank you, Julie, and linked to all of the board policies in there that reference how the board is to work and to behave, and came together with this document that I think captures how the board has worked over the last 2 years and even before that. So this is kind of the first reading of these protocols for the board. If there's something you would like to see changed over the next week, please reach out to Nancy and I, and we'll make any revisions or consider those and get them into a finalized document to come for approval by the board next Monday. The intention is that this document gets reviewed. The board does a yearly board self-evaluation with the Illinois Association of School Boards. Ours is scheduled for our returning board members June 2nd. Put that on your calendar at 6:30, where we will have our starting right workshop with Dee will come back to visit with us and work us through that. And this will be one of the core documents that we revisit, and with our 2 new board members, revise and change and make any tweaks to it, because that would be then our guidelines that we're operating by as a team moving forward. So, and then each year when we have those meetings, whatever board and superintendent are here can work through that and know how to operate moving forward. So any questions on that?
Nope.
Please get any recommendations for changes to Nancy and I by Thursday so that we can get that out to you in advance of the weekend. All right. Master facility plan, still on time and ahead of budget. It's just a couple of pictures of the auditorium down the way here. It's starting to look like an auditorium. And then South High Commons is just beautiful. On the way out, board members, as you go down that hall, you can actually turn and walk into the Commons and get a view of it, because we do have a hallway that's open that students use. You can actually poke your head in and get a peek at it. And then over at North High, their Commons project coming along really well. You can see the glass, or as the construction folks call it, glazing. I'm always like, what's glazing? Yeah, glass. The glass in the Commons is all getting in place, and you can see The meeting rooms, that's that purple box at the top, overlooking the commons coming into shape. Next week and the week after, next week, the core committee will go on a tour of South High. They have not met in person for quite a while now. So we're going to come back and do a physically distanced walking tour of the construction at South High. And then the week after that, we'll go on a walking tour at North High. We intend to bring the board, hopefully next week. White is releasing a certain amount of contingency for us to use for kind of our next list of projects. So we're going to bring you a recommendation for projects that we didn't expect we'd be able to get done under the master facility plan, but we believe that we will. And it'll look a lot like capital outlay, how we do that process, where we come and give you our list of priorities, and we're going to try to make it through as many of these priorities as possible. So we're meeting with our construction teams this week to finalize that, and then that'll be part of our conversation next Monday. All right, so any questions on master facility plan? All right, that's it for superintendent reports.
Okay, we'll move on to the reception for visitors. This is an opportunity for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School 99. Is there anybody? This is an opportunity to address the board, thank you, on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. Is there anybody here to address the board tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on.
Is there anything online? Let me check the virtual.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just have to refresh here.
I always forget the board.
All right, we have received three comments. Two of them that raise concerns about, I read these beforehand, so two of them that raise concerns about returning and wishing that we had students back more and providing feedback as to how we should do that. And then one comment that is thanking us for bringing students back and continuing to do what we're doing to get students back into school. So as always, these comments will be, well, the board has access to them at all times, but will be forwarded to the board after this meeting and become part of the official minutes. All right.
Next, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into closed session. We will not be taking any action when we come out of closed session tonight. So we need a motion for the, to go into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the district or legal counsel of the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the district, or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity, as well as 4, collective negotiating matters between the district and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees.
So moved.
Terry and Sherelle? Or was Sherelle and Terry?
Either way.
Terry and Sherelle.
I'm sorry, Terry and Sherelle.
Terry and Sherrill.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Terry Pavasich? Aye. Sherelle Fuller?
Aye.
Dan Nicholas?
Aye.
Rick Pavanato?
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler?
Aye.
Mike Davenport?
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Thank you. We are in closed session.